Should I plan my life or should I just let it happen? I heard somebody say, if you fail to plan,
You plan to fail.
you're going to plan to fail.
Right.
Okay. I'm Joe Barlow. We're on the JBM Daily Show, and this is my friend Larry Bettag. He's written this awesome book on life. This is about life.
Yeah, it is.
No rewind. Plan your life.
So I got to tell you, I worked with this company called Building Champions, and they're out there. They're wonderful. They're a coaching company in the Pacific Northwest, and I got kind of sucked into it through work and talking about life planning. And you know what? There's a study that was done in the 70s with all these Harvard graduates. And they took these Harvard graduates and tracked them 20, 25, 30 years down the road. And they had asked these graduates, did you have a life plan? Did you have any kind of goals written down? Did you have no plan? And they tracked them. And 30 years later, they asked them when they graduated if they had those things, and then 30 years later they caught up with them. The guys who had a life plan or something that was written down, even if they hadn't looked at it again, were not only immeasurably more happy, they were over 10 times more, earned more than 10 times more income than those that didn't. And you think about it, and a life plan, we'll talk about what a life plan is, but if you think about it, if you're able to reduce your life plan down to paper, again, don't forget this is your life plan. It doesn't mean necessarily it's God's life plan. And over the course of creating a life plan, hopefully you can get to the point where you justify the two together, that there's a lot of pleasure in the things, the talents and the DNA we've been talking about that God's given you to go out and do the things that you hope to accomplish. I really believe as you walk with God, even when you screw up and you make mistakes, those are part of the experiences that He did for you to go ahead and impact others.
Yeah.
And so if we go ahead and reduce these things down to paper, now for the first time in your life, you really put on paper, you sifted out the important from the non-important, and now your actions start going accordingly more towards that. So,
Yeah.
you want to talk about how we do it?
Please.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm like, dude, I need to learn this.
So I got it right here. I got a whole thing on life planning here. It's in the back of this book. Got to learn how to life plan. But what you're going to do is you're going to actually spend time away. In fact, I just updated my life plan last week. I was out in California, and the head of Building Champions said, I'm giving you a gift that no one else is going to give you, and here's the gift. You have the entire afternoon off to go take your life plan and modify it, or go out and create one. And I will tell you, I went kicking and screaming because it's about the 17th time I've done my life plan with no exaggeration. And
Wow.
I went in there and I'm like, every year I want to modify my life plan because God's talked to me in certain ways. Some things are now more important than they were 10 years ago, and some things are less important. So I went off on the beach and I sat down, and I love my life plan. Thought it was awesome. It's a rock star life plan, except for 3 categories, which I had major fails. And these are important categories. And so what you end up doing when you're creating a life plan, forget about the modification, you're going to create accounts. And so these accounts are accounts that are important to you. So my number 1 account is my relationship with God, okay? So what am I doing? What are the things that I'm failing at? And first of all, I have to identify why is it, we talked yesterday about the whys. So why is that account important to me? Is it just because I need to have one? Or is it because I want a really deep, intimate relationship and I want a guidepost and a lighthouse in my life? And then how am I failing? And in order for me in 2016 to be better at what I'm doing, what are the couple steps that I need to put in that are non-negotiable? And then can I reduce that then to a calendar event? So my calendar event is maybe 15 minutes of maybe if all I do is go to church, that's all I've ever done, and maybe I need to spend 5 minutes a morning reading the Bible. Maybe that's one reason maybe that's one way to go deeper in 2016. Maybe I don't even go to church. Maybe I need to go to church in 2016.
Yeah, right.
It's calendared. So my next account is my wife. My next account, I have 5 children. And so my next account is my 5 children. So what do I do with them? I'm great with my 5 children, but am I great with every child individually? I'm herding cats. And so can I go ahead and spend time with every single one of these guys in a meaningful way? Do I value one more than the other? Well, I might be spending more time with one because this one's got a set of issues, but this one, as a result, would be neglected. And now that I'm neglecting this child, am I really being true to my life plan? So I identify that account. My other account is with my work. It's with my health. It's with my church. I value my country. So what are those things? What are the accounts that you have? My savings, my finances, that whole ball of wax. And so what you really want to do is spend time off-site And the hardest thing, I promise, almost all you people looking at me during this interview are going to say, boy, that sounds great, but I'll never do it. And I got to tell you, that's me. And I am so broken that I have to pay someone a lot of money to fly somewhere else, to go somewhere, to tell me to shut my phone down and take this whole litany of things and go start creating my life plan. So once this life plan is created, anyways, that's it. So let me tell you about how
Keep going.
we keep that life plan fresh. So the first month that you have your life plan, every single day of that month, the entire month, you sit down every morning and you read your life plan. And then just make sure that it's corresponding on your calendar. So maybe my calendar says for Claire, I told Claire this weekend on Saturday morning, I'm taking her out for breakfast.
Nice.
So that's part of my life plan. Now I knocked off one of my 5 kids, and I'm having great one-on-one time with her. And so after that, I'll go down to weekly, then I'll review this the Monday of every single week. And then I had talked to the guy who created this. I said, what if your life plan's boring because you've read it 320 times over the course of a year? And he said, that is the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is really keeping it relevant. And maybe through the course of this year, you'll find out that this area you really kind of succeeded in, and it's not as exciting as it was. In order to make it more exciting and more meaningful in your life, you need to ratchet it up or you need to bring on new challenges. So,
You know, something you said, Larry, reminded me of a word that the Lord spoke to me the other day. And let me, if I could, just read this to you. This is pretty exciting to me. But he said, the first part is kind of rebuke. But he said, son, the fact that I'm pleased with you does not mean you are doing everything right. Ooh, okay. He said, but your heart is inclined to me, and that is right. It pleases me that you desire to please me. He said, keep that going. Keep your heart open like that. It is so dear to me. Now, the thing you said about life planning is what's coming up. He said, now the work that I would have you do, I make it clear. I tell you straight, I've laid things out for you. I've made it abundantly clear that your voice, and this is me, he said, I've made it abundantly clear that your voice in the nations is important to me. He said, begin to lean forward in pursuit of that calling. See yourself in the nations. He told me. So here's God telling me you need to imagine. He says, see yourself in the nations. What do you see? And he said, let your heart begin to be filled with desires. He said, begin to write those visions with as much clarity as you can.
there you go.
Right in here. And then he said, begin to speak those out in prayer. He said, let me work. Listen, he said, I need your voice to clear the path before you. So he needs us to speak these things.
I agree.
The progress, and this is what he said. He said, the progress has been slow, slower than you desire, and slower than I have planned. He said, so lean into this. And then he said, use the show to speak to the nations. Speak to them from your heart. Speak to them from my word. He said, I'll show you. So here, my life plan, God's opening it for me in this show.
You bet.
And music and writing and stuff and pastoring and whatever and speaking. But I don't know if I was inspired by the book or this is just the Holy Spirit, but God is speaking.
Well, you think about it from a
all the
secular
same
world.
thing.
I mean, honestly, forget Christian, non-Christian. I mean, Harvard, whether they were Christians in that study or non-Christians, it's irrelevant. 30 years later, those people that had written this down, they were 10 times more income they earned, and they
10 times more income.
at least minimally 10 times more. And I can get you that study. It's a cool study. And then also a lot more happy and more fulfilled. So you think about it. Here's the funniest thing. So for everyone listening here, it's a pain in the butt to sit down and spend this time. But would you rather spend a half a day really kind of reducing your plan so that you adhere to your goals? Or do you want to go ahead and muddling through life hoping? And so I always say the great thing about me having a coach is that coach helps me keep accountable to my plan. And when I coach people, I do a lot of coaching, and I say, you know what, the nice thing about coaching is you're giving me permission to put my foot up your butt to hold you accountable to your goals. They're not my goals.
Right.
They're your goals.
Right.
And who wouldn't want to have that? You know, for me, I know what I want, and if someone keeps slapping me on the head, say, get back to where you want, I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Right.
great. Then you're starting to find a little bit more happiness.
That's why the gift of encouragement in the body of Christ is so important. We need people around us to help us.
You
And
bet.
that's what I'm trying to do is help people toward what they're called to do.
You bet.
So friends, make us a part of your life. We're here to help you. We're here to encourage you. So again, if you could click like on this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up, whatever, something
You
like
bet.
that.
Absolutely. I think it's important.
Yeah.
This message needs to go out. I mean, not because of me, not because of you, just because we want to lift people up, and it'll hit the right people. People push us out.
Right. But also being in people's lives. I think just, the way that you and I have each other to talk to every once in a while. We don't spend a lot of time.
No.
But a little bit. And man, I get enough. It's like I get another spin of that plate, and it keeps going.
Yeah, keep it going.
That's what we want to do with you. So God bless you. We love you. We're praying for you. Keep coming.